one thing that 22 years of career as a winter sports athlete in luge, I would have expected a lot more progress and a lot more of systemic change to take place, which hasn't happened. And so I'm happy that now that after announcing my retirement from active sport, I can try to be the change, or try to push for some change in the way things are administered and in the system for winter sports. High performance, even in this the course which ELMS has been organizing, it says that it needs to be system driven, high performance, and that is very, very important, and that's something that was completely lacking from winter sports. Of course, in winter sports we have a challenge of not having a long tradition, and so not having the kind of athletes who have had that kind of exposure at a higher level and internationally to come and bring some of these ideas and be part of the development of this field. So being one of the few winter sports athletes who've had a high level experience, I'm always eager to give back, right, and try to be part of the decision making process. Of course, it's not so easy because winter sports federations, including Olympic committees, they have very different considerations than simply sports performance. So there's always been a lot of issues in the past, and we need to look no further than the fact that there's still not a single association of any winter sport that is recognized by the government of India, which is extremely worrying, which basically means that there's no system at all, and there's no official way that the government can fund some of the plans of these federations and so on. And there's no blame I'm trying to place here. It's just that it hasn't happened yet. And so therefore being officially appointed as a high performance director by the Luge Federation gives me a lot of hope that we can start to build and start to create this system that will usher in a certain level of and create certain benchmarks for the development of sport. And by development I mean what the government calls broad basing, get more people involved in the sport, reach out to more people, do talent scout camps, and have a larger talent pool, and then from there we will be able to build on our vertical, which is the high performance. So, once we have a sufficient talent pool, we are able to then focus on the most promising or deserving candidates, and then work on them to bring them to an elite level. So that is kind of the background of what's happening. But and so far I'm trying to prepare now the roadmap ahead, making the documents. But we are still at the starting line. We've not achieved anything so far. It's just that okay, we've taken cognizance of the fact that we need this, and I'm glad the federation has appointed me officially. And now from here everything needs to be done. Ideally, they should be working in sync so that we have an all-round development. But it can also be done individually. In my experience, we have to start with what we have, and work towards a larger objective or a longer-term objective. I think talent scouting is very important, to have an active talent scouting program, especially since we are in a stage that we want to develop a sport practically from scratch. So the idea that I would like to follow is a little bit of the American model, in which there were extremely successful campaign in which they use a truck which is loaded with the start ramps, the sleds that are modified with rollerblade wheels, all the equipment which they require, and they take this truck to various venues. It may be schools, it may be panchayats, it may be sports clubs, and you're able to go out and show the sport to people, and let children try the sport and just get initiated into it. And this is of course done with the roller sleds. So you don't need a track, you don't need any kind of infrastructure. It's just to test certain basic aptitude for the sport, and to let's say promote the idea, the awareness about the sport. Okay, that is one. Secondly, what we do require is a certain kind of infrastructure so that people can have easy access to the sport and to the facilities. And for that, what I would start with is I would start with the natural track. So we have, again, as I said, we have artificial and natural track in Luge. Natural track is fairly simple to set up because you don't need any big investments. You're basically using the natural resources, which is the snow and the slopes, the mountainside. But you do need some equipment to maintain these slopes, to prepare the curves, to compact the ice, and to maintain the conditions constant, so that many people can train. And that is, I think, it's fairly easy and cheap to set up such kind of infrastructure. And I think that's all we really need to be able to do this two-step process of talent scouting and basic training. So yeah, I'm looking at going out there. We don't really require too much investment to start to get people to know about the sport, but then we do need a longer term plan, in terms of building natural tracks and artificial tracks, and then we can talk about hosting international competitions and so on, probably 8-10 years down the line. No, the plans will include this season. This season will be a scaled down version of the main plan, using some of the athletes that we already have access to, and they're also older, in terms of age. So sometimes it doesn't make sense to invest in an older athlete. Mm-hmm. But in our case, since we have to build people to fill various roles, such as support staff, coaches, technicians, etc., what better way than to build on our current lot of athletes and upskill them to fill into those roles. So we'll have to look at things strategically and try to integrate, try to make best use of our resources. If we only work with 12-year-old kids right now, then we'll have to wait for 8 years to see them, reach their prime. But if we're working on the current lot as well, we will be able to use them to fill in, various positions that we will require. What I would like to see, that from here to the next 5 to 10 years, that we reach at least a large number of athletes that have taken part in our initiation and beginner level development camps, which we want to hold across this region. So to have more people who are actively involved in the winter sports ecosystem, and that have an active understanding about luge as a sport. So to build that broad base, and then from then on, I think already from 2022, I would like to have our teams becoming a regular feature in the international circuits. So we have the World Cup circuit, which has 10 World Cups each year. We have the World Championships every 2 years. We have the Asian Championships and Olympic Games. So we need consistent representation in all these events. So only with that consistency, then we'll be able to start to increase the level. Okay, and I have no doubt that within 8 years we can. Given the proper budgets and consistency in training and participation, I have no doubt that within 8 years we can create champions at an Asian level, at a world level, and this will have to be done across the disciplines of luge. So in luge we have artificial track luge and natural track luge, and in both of these we have senior category and junior category. So we want to create a system which feeds itself, and improves itself. So that is, kind of the vision which I have for the next, for the next 2 4 year cycles, let's say. I think this program is probably the most important need of our current sports ecosystem right now. We need to be able to build professionals that understand the system of high performance sport, and to have the formal, let's say, competences to be able to implement this. So I had no idea that I might be nominated as a high performance director when I signed on for this course, but it was my conviction that these are the skill sets that are necessary. And it's almost prophetic, because immediately I've not even completed the course, in fact just started the course, and already it's caused this kind of this kind of results. So I think I hope that this course continues for the longer term, and it builds this new kind of professional figures that can come and work with our sports organizations. Absolutely. This has given me a slightly different perspective, and it's kind of given me practical goals to try to achieve, and this course is such an incredible opportunity to get some of my doubts answered, and to get the confidence in being able to build a program, a high performance program. Earlier, of course, thanks to my experience in the high performance field, and 22 years at the Olympic level, and working with so many international teams, I learned a lot practically on the job, but the process and the theory, and that is all extremely important to build a solid foundation. So which is why now when I'm following the course, the classes, I'm looking at them also from a very practical point of view. For example, I have to build this high performance program, and from which I can directly get a lot of inputs, not just from the course, but also reaching out to the faculty and following up with them on some of my questions. Number two is for infrastructure, so to set up the high performance training centers. The course is teaching us a lot of best practices that need to be considered. So that is number two. And I think also extremely important is this creating this kind of cohesive environment of sports professionals. Okay, because we all need each other, and we often have to work with each other. So this builds understanding of what each person's role is, whether it is administrators at the Sports Authority of India, or some of the multi-sports training centers which we have in India. Organizations that are working to support athletes, and so on. So all these things, this will also help, to have this kind of a network of sport professionals. So it's, it looks like it's tailor-made for my needs right now. I have my role as the high performance director, but at the same time, I'm also working with the Indian Olympic Association in the Athletes Commission, in the Ethics Committee. I'm also president of the Olympians Association of India. So each of these things has a slightly different, take, and slightly different. It's a different piece of the overall, puzzle of the sports ecosystem. So. But of course, initially I was looking at more of the administrative part, and what is required, in terms of sports administration, since that was what my immediate role was. But now, as the high performance director, I'm looking more at the training, right, and at the infrastructure and the training. So I've kind of expanded my immediate area of interest. And in the beginning of the course, some of the question answers that that you had put forward to understand what our interests were. I had based it more out of a sports administration point of view, and how we need to improve the whole system of administration in India and try to get more coordination, because as we know, there's a lot of gaps between ministry, Olympic associations, state federations, and athletes involvement, clubs. So there's no really there's no master plan, there's no cohesion between all these sports bodies, and that was my biggest interest, because I've seen the competition amongst sports bodies was hampering actually the development of many of the sports and many projects. So that was my main focus. But now I'm equally interested in finding out about what a good high performance program should entail. What are the best ways to how you're viewing sports high performance as well. And for me, it's not just about numbers, not just about winning medals, but about finding the deeper meaning, and creating a system that then organically produces high performers, and not just making somebody into a high performer from top down. So it's a slightly different approach. I don't know if you kind of getting my drift on this, but I think sport is not just about winning 12, 14, 16 medals. It's about uplifting our entire country through this process. And of course, in the process, we're going to win these medals. But that wholesome approach is what I'm more interested in. Well, yes, absolutely. It's great that there's so many diverse participants in this group, that we can all learn from each other. As an athlete, you don't always know what the sports administrators are thinking, or why they're taking certain decisions, and sometimes this causes a bad feeling, and a lack of communication, and you assume that somebody is working against you. At the same time, in India, in my experience, has been that athletes have not been taken seriously by the sports administrators to involve them in the decision-making process. However, as an ex-athlete, and a current administrator, it's easy to cross that bridge, and administrators can look at your experience and ask me for advice on how on certain repercussions of their decisions, and I can ask them of the how and why they have certain policies in place. So I think this is an extremely important conversation, and it needs to be reinforced by adding more and more athlete representatives in all of these sports organizations, because the athlete's voice is extremely important. And however, you also need able administrators. So to understand how the process works, and I've been able to understand that we have so many good policies, and many times it's the gap is in the implementation of these policies, or even of the awareness of the existence of these policies. So if there's a policy sitting in some file somewhere, it's useless, so that's what makes this conversation that much more important. So yes, I'm looking to participate, I'm looking to interact, and I'm looking to learn also from the other side. So that's the only way we can build towards our common goal. And ultimately, it's a class full of people who are extremely passionate about the country, passionate about sports. There's a lot of common ground, and that itself is a wonderful way to start. And with the ELMS team bringing all these people together and giving these incredible resources, it'll go a long way. It'll have a big impact on our sports culture. can just get awestruck by just the sheer amount of things you have to do.
Yes.
So we have our long-term goals, which we keep it in mind, but there will be many short-term goals that we can concentrate on and work effectively towards, so that we don't get overwhelmed by by the magnitude of this task. Definitely.